aim for this IR pack was to create the best possible impulse responses with the least amount of option paralysis. The pack contains 5 different cabinets, and each speaker in that cabinet is labelled with my go-to mic placement for that specific speaker. Then there's a few options to go a bit brighter, including dead center on the speaker, and also a bit darker than that. I've only used the 2 microphones that I always reach for when I want to capture tones. My go-to SM57 and a Sennheiser 4212. Aside from all of the raw impulse responses provided, there's an additional folder of mix-ready IRs, which I've meticulously EQ'd to be as clear, balanced and defined sounding as possible, using the EQ moves I would typically make in most of my mixes. Now everyone's mixes will be different, but at the very least this will offer a really great starting tone for a really polished sound straight out of the gate. I've personally engineered the guitar tone for the last 4 records I've made, and nailing a good guitar tone at the source is something I've been obsessing over for years. The main components of a good guitar tone for me is the combination of cabinet, speaker, microphone and mic placement. Although amps, pedals and pickups are all a lot more fun elements to explore for guitarists, it's that last half of the chain that drastically makes the most difference, and this is where I feel I can help a lot of guitarists and producers nail their best guitar tone possible. So I'm going to show you how everything is labelled in the pack. So this is the main folder. You've got 5 different guitar cabinets and 1 mix EQ impulse response folder. So cab 1 is a Mesa Boogie oversized angled with speakers from the year 2000. Number 2 is a Mesa Boogie oversized angled with speakers from the year 2001. These speakers are a lot darker. Number 3, Mesa Boogie traditional straight cab, speakers from the year 2000. Different set of speakers from the first cab though, so it's different speakers and a different cabinet obviously. Number 4, Mesa Boogie Stiletto Angled, which is a more traditional size cab, and this has speakers from I think 2012 in it. Number 5 is a Marshall Straight 1960 B cab, and that has a plethora of different speakers. So top left is an EVH speaker, top right is a vintage 30 16 ohm from I think 2001. And the bottom 2 speakers are T75s from 1998. The mix EQ impulse responses, as you'll see, every cab makes an appearance. Not every speaker, but every cabinet will be featured in here. And this is essentially as close to mix ready as I would get these tones, using my kind of default 5150 settings and trying to get as clear and defined a tone as possible and really well balanced in how I would kind of EQ guitars in my mixes. Obviously, I can't tailor them to everyone's mix, and there's a plethora of different tones to choose from here, so I think there's a lot of scope, and if you're just looking for something really easy, I think you'll find something great just in this folder alone. So let's jump into cab 1. This is my favourite cabinet, and my favourite speaker is this top right one. So every speaker is featured in the pack. And the way it's labelled, obviously bottom left speaker is a vintage 30 and the speaker is from the year 2000. That's how it's labelled, that's what these numbers relate to. So top right speaker, you've got 2 different microphones here. So SM57, which is my go-to for heavy tones. I just don't care about other mics, if I'm honest. I've tried a bunch of different mics and I always just gravitated towards the 57, and I really didn't want this pack to be option paralysis. I just wanted it to be nailing guitar tones that sound great with minimal fuss. So let's have a look at the 57 here. You've got cab 1, TR means top right, so top right speaker. It's the 57 microphone, and these numbers here respond to the mic placement. So I would always start with number 3 when I'm capturing impulse responses. I'd get my go-to 5150 settings, and I'd get the ideal mic placement on that specific speaker, and that would be placement number 3. And then I'd work incrementally more towards the center, 0, 0 being dead center on the cone, and then obviously get a few darker tones and mic placements after that. So Number 3 is always my ideal kind of spot for each speaker. It's not the same distance on each speaker. This is all kind of customized to my ears. So yeah, you can go a little lighter and a little darker than what I would choose, but overall there's not a huge range of option paralysis. You just get the best placement, and this is also depending on if going left or right on each speaker was, you know, which direction was better for me to go in. And yeah, so that's how the 57's labeled. Now the 421 mic is a mic that I just blend in about 10 dB quieter most of the time. It's rarely the mic that I rely on for the main source of the tone. So there's less positions here than the 57. Now in this case, number 2 is my prime mic placement, and then number 3 is a little darker, number 1 a little lighter, and 00 would be dead center on the speaker. So I'm going to load up my favorite impulse response from the pack, which is cab 1, top right speaker, 57 mic in the number 3 position, which is my go-to position. This is how it sounds. And these are my STL Ignite Amp Hub 5150 settings that I use. The reason I'm using this third-party impulse response loader is because it has automatic phase alignment between impulse responses. So I'm going to load a different impulse response now to blend in. I like to blend in a 421 with my 57. Sometimes you can blend in two 57s, and I'm going to go position 2, which is kind of my go-to for the 421 mic, and I'm going to just creep it in. And now you'll see me mute it. And this is that mic soloed. The 421's got quite an intense spike, around 4K, 4.3ish maybe, around there. And that's something on the mix EQ impulse responses that I've already kind of notched out and factored in. But I like to just give all the impulse responses in the main packs as raw as possible. So this is how it sounds. And let's just check out some other speakers in the pack. So this is the second cab, top right speaker with a 57, same kind of setup as the other cab, but a completely different cab and different speaker. This is quite a drastic difference you'll hear. Now I'm going to load up the Marshall cab. Another one of my favourite speakers in the pack is the 1960 cab with the vintage 30 in the top right position. So this is the Marshall cab 2, that's already cab 1. And that's all the impulse responses together.